Well, good afternoon, everybody. I hope that you're doing well this afternoon. I wanted to start at least the first slide up there so when people are coming in, you are hearing us loud and clear as we kind of get things going here. Let's make sure I've got everything unmuted here. It's good to see everybody on this Wednesday afternoon. We're going to be talking about the profitability in medical billing. So as you can see here, I got people gathered around a table looking at the what the potential profit is there for medical billing. Good to see you this afternoon. I hope that you're having a wonderful, wonderful week. I hope the weather is beautiful where you are, and looking forward to spending the next 30 to 40 minutes with me on the webinar this afternoon. It's good to see those that are on here. I see James and Rohit and Akar and Manny is coming on, and others are starting to come in here as well. We've got Sarah, we've got Anne. Good to see everybody here this afternoon. All right, so we're going to get the show on the road here in just a second. Looks like Sean Mooney is just joining us, so it's good to see everybody here this afternoon. All right, folks. Again, my name's Eric Auger. I'll be your host this afternoon. For those that are just logging into the webinar this afternoon, it's good to have you here. We know that this is a special time for you as you're entertaining and you're looking at engaging with us here at American Business Systems. I want to do my best that I can this afternoon to help answer all of your questions. So you'll find the Q&A box over at the bottom. You'll find out where that Q&A box is right there. Just to ensure that everybody knows where to put their questions there. If you don't mind just putting in again where you live, and that will be helpful for me. It kind of lets me know that you are engaged with me and that you know where the Q&A box is. So if you don't mind doing that, I would appreciate it. All right, folks, again, what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about the profitability. I'm going to share some information with you that's going to be helpful for you as you are engaging with us here and you're trying to figure out how's this all going to work. Now, I will tell you what this webinar is not about. It's not about marketing today. So it's not about how to get your first client. Although if you've got some questions about that, if you want to reserve those questions, I can help do what I can to reserve those questions for the end. So if it's specifically about the cash flow, the return on investments, that's what we're going to be diving into today. Satash is from Phoenix. Good to see you. I appreciate that. Rohit's from San Jose. Good to see you. And it's kind of like the old song, Do We Know the Way to San Jose? Uh, uh, Akhtar is from Albany, New York. Good to see you here as well. So good to see some folks. Now I know there's some other folks on here, so feel free to type in where you're dialing in from. Sean's from Boston. Good to see you. James is from Palm Coast. Good to see you. Appreciate you joining us this afternoon. Again, for those that are just getting involved, again, my name is Eric Auger. I'll be your host this afternoon. And now that everybody knows at least where the Q&A box is, I'll be happy to do and take your questions this afternoon. Just as a brief introduction, if you haven't met our CEO, it's Adam Phillips. Adam's been running the ship here for the last few years, doing a fantastic job. He is also an author, a co-author on some books here. If you'd like to get a copy of this, let me know how you might get a copy of that towards the end. I might give you a secret on knowing how to get you a copy of that from him. And he's also a contributing article writer for an organization called the Billing and Coding Advantage magazine. He wrote an article last year on the advancement of AI in medical billing. I'll tell you this, folks, I think AI is probably going to be one of the best things that's happened to America, to not only American business systems, but also in medical billing. It is, I think it's going to be very, very helpful. It certainly won't be any issues of hindering anybody getting into it. It's just think of it as just another tool. Matter of fact, I listened to a podcast just over the last couple of weeks, and people were a little bit afraid of artificial intelligence and what it all can do. But it's kind of like the days when we went from a uh, a drill, folks. Some of you might remember this, a drill that actually had a cord at the bottom of it. When we went from having a cord to cordless to what we have now, who would ever go back to the cord, right? It's just a different type of a tool. So if you use it wisely and you use it rightly, it's going to be very, very helpful. All right. Adam's also the founder and guru behind the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. It is this organization that certifies you. And once you've completed our training, and at the end of that, you will have your credentials as a CMRM, that's a Certified Medical Revenue Manager. It's very important because you get to not only be part of an organization, MIRMA, but they're the ones that certify you as a Certified Medical Revenue Manager. A lot of you have asked in the past, do I need to go back to school or go to college or a trade school to learn medical billing? And you really don't need to do that. Matter of fact, before we even get started with the topic of that this afternoon, uh, we do have training. That training is going to take you through 10 major modules of getting your business up and going. And it's going to be everything from how do you get your business up and started into all the other aspects of what's done here at American Business Systems, how to do the billing. But now we have launched a brand new advanced training, and that's actually started, and it's open only to our current business owners right now. But I actually took a peek of it a little bit today because it was recorded last Friday, and it is amazing how much information you're going to learn. So, for those who are getting started, and you're going to get started with us, you've come to the right place. If you want to learn how to dive into really what's all about medical billing and everything, again, you don't need to go to school or college or anything else like that. We've got all the tools here because our entire support team is the one that does all the training and support for you, and obviously all the advanced training that you're getting. So being a part of American Business Systems here means that you're a part of the largest network group of independent medical billing companies. And because of that, we get to pull all of our resources together so you can enter into this game and feel like you've been a part of an organization for, well, over 30 years. That's how long American Business Systems has been around. All right, enough for the introductions there. Let's dive right on into the topic of this afternoon. Now, remember, if you got any specific questions, feel free to shoot those over to me in the Q&A box, and I will answer those appropriately as they kind of come in. So today we're going to talk about the profitability. Everybody wants to know how much you can make. Now, obviously, folks, this is after you get your first client. So these are real numbers that we're going to be talking about today. I'm actually going to show you on our website where you can go find that information. You can go dig into it yourself. But we want you to make sure that you know that you can take control of your own financial future. This is what it's all about. It's the only reason that you're looking to start some type of business opportunity of being an entrepreneur yourself. Again, I've been at this a little over 16 years here. I have had my own medical billing companies, so I know what it takes to get the client, actually get them up and going, and do the billing. I've done everything from soup to nuts that you can imagine here at American Business Systems. So I was very fortunate to meet Patrick Phillips and Adam Phillips several years ago, and was able to become part of this team way back when. All right, so where I want to start with is not so much of really how much you're going to make. I really want to start off with something that should be important to every one of you because so often, and especially over the last few years, we've really tried to gear this webinar to as though we're speaking to a group of executives, those that are looking to get started in a business, and we really need to deal with some of the things that executives deal with. And the first one is really what is my return on investment? Now, I'm going to get to the cost here in just a moment, but I thought we would just really quickly talk about how quickly can I see a return of investment now, or an ROI. Now, a lot of us may be just getting started in our first journeys of becoming an entrepreneur and may not really understand too much really what an ROI is. So I'm going to take a little bit of a back step from that. Some of you may be a little bit more advanced, so just bear with us as we kind of make sure that we've got all the acronyms and everything that we want to talk about today, and we're all at least starting with the same foundation. Okay, so folks, let's just talk real quickly what a return on investment is. And this is nothing from American Business Systems. You can clearly see I got this from somebody else's website. But basically, again, return on investment is a key business matrix that measures the profitability of an investment or making activities by weighing the size of the upfront cost against the net profits it produced. So, folks, you know this that there's a certain amount of cash that you obviously invest. There's not one business that has been created that hasn't had to have a startup cost, okay? Some have bigger startup costs than others. It can be in the millions, and now that we've kind of gotten past the million mark, some of us might even be thinking about the billion mark. And matter of fact, I was talking with my brother-in-law this afternoon or this morning, and he was telling me that one of the football teams that has a semi-brand new stadium is already looking to say, we're already outdated that one. It's time to build us a new one, and that one's going to be $1 billion to build. So somebody's going to have to come up with that cash, but there's an investment that's going to have to be made there because somebody knows that if they're going to put in $1 billion, they want to get a return on that, not only to get the $1 billion back, but then obviously to make a profit out of it. Well, here it is with American Business Systems. It's certainly not a billion or $1 million, or it's not even in the six-digit framework. We'll talk about that investment here in just a moment. But what I want to do is talk about how long does it actually take for you to get any, what's the expectation out there? Again, folks, I just turned a little over 60 in the beginning of this year. To be honest, I just turned 62 back in January. And whenever I first wanted to become an entrepreneur in my late 20s and early 30s, I was always told this back then, and it's really the same thing it is now. Eric, you're going to have to take some capital to get some things going, but it may take you 2 to 3 years before you break even. And that hasn't really changed over the last 30 something years that I can think about it. Matter of fact, this article from FreshBooks that was done by a CPA, Jason Ding, he says on average, a new business takes 2 to 3 years to be profitable. When a company starts to make a profit, depends on how high its startup costs are. Okay, so that's pretty logical. How much is it going to take me to get my business up and going? And according to the Houston Chronicle, when he wrote this, the more capital business needs up front to provide its products or services, and the higher its salaries, the longer it will take for a company to become profitable. So he says this is just nothing new. I mean, obviously this is you know business 101 here. How many businesses are profitable within the first year? He goes on to his in this article. Very few startup businesses are profitable within the first year. Most take 18 to 24 months to become profitable. Businesses with small startup costs, such as online or home businesses, may be able to turn a profit earlier. So this is where we are today, folks. We're here to make sure that you understand that the opportunity that's before all of us here at American Business Systems gives us that opportunity just to be able to make sure that we've got you an opportunity to make that profit as fast as possible because number one, the investment of it here is pretty low. And then obviously how to get there can be done just as quickly. Matter of fact, let me show you this graphic here. I wanted to share this. Let me find my share button here back over here really quickly and then get back with you. So this is what typically, again, as you can see here, general business profitability timeline is typically, again, 2 to 3 years. It can peak out with 7 to 10, but with ours, with here at American Business Systems, again, we're talking 6 months to just to get started, where you're start to see a difference here. Medical billing business profitability timeline, again, can be anywhere from 6 to 12 months in that initial profitability. Usually about 1 year to where you kind of feel like you become stable or profitable for your profitability. And then after 3 years, you've got that substantial profitability as you kind of go through this. But this is just on average, folks, as what we see here. So as you're going through, we're just trying to set this mentality, this proper set of information of what is a medical billing business profitability timeline sort of look like. So if you want to, you can take a screenshot of this as you want to do that, or this can be in a PDF and you can see it a little bit later. But I love visuals. Visuals help me to kind of imagine what's going on here. So you can see here, just medical billing business profitability can actually beat the odds with most other businesses out there. All right, this next slide I want to share with you is the average. The averages of medical billing as a business opportunity. So, number one, you've got a lot of scalability, which means that you can start this just by yourself. You don't need to hire other people. You don't even really need to hire sales reps or anything else like that, uh, because you can scale on a dime. Uh, we did an interview not long ago that some of our brand new business owners who kind of shocked the world around here, where a couple of them was able to get their first client within the first 6 to 8 months, which is very, very fast, folks, if you think about it, because within that first little set there, folks, man, they're becoming profitable right off the bat. But what happened was is not only did they get their first client, they got their second and third client right after each other. Well, they needed to scale and scale quickly. We've got resources that we can help those people that uh, get a client so quickly that they need to scale pretty quickly, because again, it can be pretty difficult if you're trying to do it all on your own, unless you've got a little bit of medical billing background. Uh, Folks, we're right in the middle of a lot of what we can consider a lot of turbulence, let's say, out there in the market right now. But this business right here can also be recession resistant because number one, people need to go see doctors. They need to go see doctors quite often. The older that we get, I remember when Patrick and I were doing these webinars, 10, 15 years ago. Back then, there were 10,000 people turning 65 every day. So let that sink in. That was 10 to 15 years ago. Now, time has gone by a little bit more. I think I've even heard that number to go up to doing anywhere from 12 to 14,000 people a day that are going on to Medicare. So that means a lot of people are going in to go see the doctors. So when you're looking for something to be a little bit more recession proof than maybe flipping burgers or creating sandwiches or any other of the business opportunities that are out there, you're wanting to find one that's going to be as recession proof as possible. There is a growing demand for medical billers, and I'll show you the difference between what a medical biller in a doctor's office will make versus what you can make if you're getting an outsource and you're doing that work for the doctor. Recurring revenue. This is what's so beautiful about this, because you'll know it's going to be like clockwork. If the doctor is seeing anywhere from 20 to 30 patients a day, they're going to see 20 to 30 patients tomorrow, and then 20 to 30 patients the following day, and so on and so on and so on. So the recurring revenue, once you've got that going with one doctor, you don't have to resell the doctor on anything. So there's no inventory that you have to keep up with. There's very, very, very low overhead. So your revenue is going to keep continuing coming in. And then the last thing, the advantages of medical billing as a business opportunity, is that you can literally work from anywhere. You can live in California or Arizona or North Carolina, and if you want to travel to any of those other places like North Carolina or Arizona or California, you're able to as long as you've got internet service, you'll be able to do any billing from just about anywhere. So you want to take an extended trip across the country, you can do that and still have your clients. If you've got a client that, let's just say that you're in Florida and you've got a client in Texas, maybe you want to take a drive over to Texas and chat with your client and write the whole trip off if you want to some degree, but along the way you're still doing the billing. So you can literally, again, work from anywhere. You don't have to be tied to a specific area because again, the great thing about it is that medical billing is across the board. There's no sections to where you can only do billing for doctors in Florida. Since you're dealing with Medicare and all the other insurances follow along with the same codes and everything else that Medicare does, they set the rules. So it's across the board. So folks, you can do that. All right, let's talk about the return on investment. Let's talk now about what is the investment here at American Business Systems. Obviously, with any business, there is a seed money that you've got to get started with. And we talk about this as your investment. You're not necessarily investing in American Business Systems, you're investing in yourself because once you do this, you're going to be trained and you're going to be supported and you're going to have all the materials that you're going to need. So this is an investment in what you're collecting as yourself. So that initial investment here is a $30,000 one-time investment. And I'm emphasize one time because that one time means that there are no franchise fees and there are no royalty fees that go along with this. So all of a sudden you go, okay, this is not too terribly bad. There's no ongoing fees or services fees with American Business Systems for your training or support or really of any new um, support mechanisms that come along or new services that come along. There is nothing here that we're going to come back and say, hey, you might owe us another $500 because we've added a new service or another $1,500 because we've added new training. But for those that were on here earlier on, you might recall that I mentioned that we've got a new advanced training courses. If you're already a medical billing company here with American Business Systems, you're already enrolled into those trainings and you can take them as you need to. So there's a one-time investment of $30,000. The next thing is you got to ask, what's my return on investment? What's it going to take for me to get there? I'll tell you, it's going to take you at least one doctor to get there. Now I'm going to show you the math here in just a moment to show you how you get there and get there pretty quickly, and then how you can not only getting one more doctor just doubles that, shortening that return on investment and getting you to profitability. But you can pretty much typically guarantee yourself once you have a doctor that within your first year, you're going to get your return on investment because you're going to get in your first year, and this is kind of like taking everything out of it, all of your overhead and even your initial cost to get you back to kind of break even. That first year, you should be generating anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000, and I'll prove that here to you in just a second as we do some calculations here together. But then at the end of it, you got to figure out what does success look like for you. I think again, it's really going to just really be that one doctor. I think for most people that get involved in this business, always say, if I can just get one doctor, I will feel like I've got success. Now, we will have a webinar coming up shortly where we're going to talk about how to get that first doctor because we could all be sitting here today and going, Eric, this all sounds good and dandy, but you know what? If I can't get that one doctor, the return on investment doesn't mean anything to me. But you've got to know that with one doctor, you can get a return on investment with that. Now, where you can learn how to find that out is there's a place where you can go calculate your potential. Now, there's actually two types of calculators that we have on there. And you'll see there that we've got this income calculator that's just sitting just right there. You can see it right there. Now, the way for you to find that, you'd go over to absystems.com. And then you would scroll all the way down to the very bottom where you kind of see all the all the what I call the important stuff or the fine print of everything. And it's not that we're trying to bury this. It's just that this is just a good place for you to see it. But you'll see about us and you'll see case studies. And right next to that is the income calculator. So you'd want to just simply click on that. And that's going to land you on a page that looks very similar to this, okay? And which is basically, this is where you're going to land. And matter of fact, this is a screenshot of that where you're going to land on the income calculator. But there's a couple of things that you're going to need to do. You're going to need to put in the billing rate. You're also going to need to put in the average claim amount. And then you're going to need to put in how many patients a doctor might see in a day. These are the variables that you're going to want to put in. Now, I'm doing our first sample at 6%. Okay. So this first one we're going to put right here is at 6%. Now, that's the billing rate. Now, you can see here, uh, you can see there in the little parentheses, there's what you charge the doctor for your claims filing service. Okay. Normal range is from 4% up to 8%. So you clearly see I shot this thing right smack dab in the middle. Now, I'll tell you a few of the clients that I had, I was charging at 5%. I had some other ones that I charge a little bit higher than that at 6 and 7%. Now, the reason I was at the 5% is because of the dollar volume, not necessarily the claim volume. So that's one of the ways support will help you uh, try to get to the point where what is the best billing rate do I need to be at? Because if you think about it, if you're billing for a specialist and their average claim amount may be $200 to $250, you may not charge 8% or 7%. You may want to charge 5% because the same amount of time that it takes you to do a claim for a $250 claim is the same amount of time it's going to take you to do a claim for maybe a $75 claim. So the ones that are lower than $100 per claim, I might choose to charge a higher percentage. So hopefully that made sense. So if I'm doing billing for a chiropractor, I may charge that chiropractor 8 or 9% because there's going to be a lot of volume, but the return on that dollar amount, I'm trying to get up at least to average out to be about 6%, as you can see that. Now, what I'm looking at here is doing billing for a primary care physician, maybe an internal medicine doctor, a little bit more specialized. So the average claim billing rate is going to be right about 6%. Okay, that's pretty average. Now we need to figure out the average claim amount. Now, folks, there's so many on here today. If I were to ask you to put in, what do you think an average claim amount is going to be? I know where it's going to be. It's going to be at least $100. I don't think a primary care doctor is going to see a patient for less than $100 because typically whenever you do billing for a doctor for like Medicare, even at a 15-minute visit, and that's just the visit, and that's not any other procedures that might go along with that. But just with a 15-minute visit is a buck 25 to a buck 50 or 150, $125 or $150. But I want to keep it within this range here of what we set forth as your potential return on investment. So again, this is one doctor at 6% with $100 claim amount. Now, how many patients does a doctor see in a day? Now, folks, listen, I've been to doctors and it seems like those doctors' offices are so packed. I'm thinking, I'm never, ever going to make my appointment. But sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But you can see here, a doctor will see anywhere from 20 to 30 patients is a good rule of thumb. Now, I say a good rule of thumb because let me share something with you. Now, this is a little side deviation part I want to take here. Doctors will see more. Matter of fact, if they schedule 30 patients in a day, they know that some of those folks will be no-shows. That's why a lot of doctors will have their staff double book. They'll have probably 40 to 60 patients on the schedule that day. So they're playing the rule of averages here because they know that there's going to be some of those patients that won't show, they'll cancel, something's going to happen. So they got to figure out something. Well, what happens whenever all of those patients decide to show up? That's why you'll find our averages is going to be anywhere from 35 to 40. But again, to keep things very, very low, I just shot in the middle between 20 and 30. And let's just say the doctor only sees 25 patients a day. Okay. So here we go. We've got 6% that we're going to bill for. The average claim amount is $100. The doctor's only going to see 25 patients. That means you're only going to do 25 claims. For those 25 claims for every day of the year, now excluding Saturday and Sunday. So let's say the doctor's open 5 days a week. You're at $39,000. That's why you can see here that when we talk with you, we're talking with you on the basis that just simply getting your return on your investment the first year, you can see that you can do that. Going back to the article that I shared with you earlier, it can be 2 to 3 years. Sometimes it could be as high as 7 years for some because they've got such a high investment on the front end, and then they've got salaried people that they're having to pay along the way. So incrementally, they're paying themselves back or paying back a bank or something or some investor, but it's going to take some time. So now let's go to sample two. This is where I find most of our folks that do billing. Okay. So we're going to bump that sample rate up to 7%, sticking with the same type of primary care or internal med doctor, except we're going to readjust this claim to be a little bit more realistic. Instead of just $100 per visit, we're going to be right about $150 per visit. Okay, so this is a little bit more realistic. Then we're going to be a little bit more realistic on the numbers here. Again, I'm still using the number 25, but you can see here, all I did was bump up the billing rate from a 6% to a 7% and become a little bit more realistic on the average claim amount. $68,250 is your potential opportunity of what you can make with one doctor. Not only do you get your money back on your return on investment, but you've actually been able to put more money back in your pocket. So now you're becoming profitable. So now you can see whatever I shared with you earlier, that if you've got, let's say that within the first 6 months, you just get started and you really haven't had a lot of background in medical billing. That's why we're here. We're here to coach you along the way. We're here to kind of shepherd you along the way. You're not going to be left alone. But all of a sudden, let's say that James or Manny that's on the call this afternoon, right out of the chute, they get their first doctor within the first 3 to 6 months. And all of a sudden, they've done all their proper things that they're supposed to be doing, doing all their networking and making sure people know that they're in business, and they've gotten the word out that they're in this medical billing world now. And all of a sudden, right after that one, they've been interviewing or talking with another doctor. All of a sudden, that doctor flips again, and now they've got two doctors within 8 months. So now they're trying to do anywhere from 30 to or 40 to 60 claims in a day. Now, still, folks, that's not going to bog you down too terribly much, but you can see the potential there. You're going to be anywhere up in the decent amount range there. Even if you were on the lower end of that 39,000 at $40,000 with two small doctors, you're at $80,000, a year on but you could also be at as high as 110 to $120,000 with two doctors. But if it starts getting too much and you need help, that's why we're here to help you scale properly. So we've got avenues and resources to help you out with that. Then that's when you have to start taking it. Do I want to just kind of just deal with it and work it myself and try to make as much money as I can, or do I need some extra help? So let's take a look. Let's look at the math behind these projections. Okay, here. Okay. I'm always skeptical. I hope that you're skeptical. And I just want to just be reality to you. Here's the math behind those calculations. Again, we're going to have one doctor that we're doing business for who's going to, again, see 25 patients a day. That's typically 12 to 14 patients in the morning, 12 to 13 patients in the afternoon. Okay. And typically, if you know you've gone to the doctor only seems like they spend about 15, 20 minutes with you anyway. So you can see how the doctor can see more than 25 patients. James, you got a great question, and I'm getting there. James asked, how much time does it take to do a normal client? I've got that calculation in here. So again, the doctor's seeing 25 patients a day. Again, at $150 per patient, that's about 37 50 a day, $3,700 a day for that doctor. So that's what the doctor is trying to make. Okay. They've got overhead, they've got rent or mortgage on their building or whatever else, they got staff. And you can see here, folks, you're going to see here at the end of the webinar, the cost that it would take for a doctor to staff a full-time employee to do their billing is actually more than what you're going to see here as what you could be making. So just getting the billing out of that doctor's office is going to save that doctor cash flow. That's going to be better in on their books. Okay. So this is all about cash flow, right, folks? It's all about revenue cycle management. And this is why a lot of people have asked me, Eric, what if I'm a little shy or afraid to go out there and do some marketing? Folks, if you're a little shy about that, obviously I know that we can help you overcome that. But folks, this is a relationship business. Would you want to have anybody work your revenue whom you didn't have a relationship with? So, folks, this is why we stress to you that the number one way in which our new business owners here get a client is through their network marketing. I'm going to take you through that in another week or so on a webinar so you can see how that works. Okay. So a doctor's trying to make, let's just round it up, almost anywhere from $3,500 to $4,000 a day. That's their nut that they're trying to crack. And I promise you, it's probably more than that. That's why they're trying to see more patients than that. Okay, but we're talking about you. 37.50 a day times 7%. That's all you got to do. And your average earnings per day is $262.50 a day. Now, that's not too bad if you're doing this part-time. Kind of goes to where I'm being led here about answering James's question. How long is it going to take me to do 25 claims? There's the magic question. Less than 90 minutes. So, folks, I don't know where you can go and make nearly, even at that, if it took you 2 hours, that's $130 an hour. So that's not bad for a part-time gig. Does this promote you to go, I didn't realize the profitability behind this? That may be why I bite the bullet a little bit on this whole marketing thing of what's going to take to get the client. Who wouldn't want to go after a client where you can make $130 to $150 an hour? That's not bad. And with such low overhead, folks, that's what you got to understand. So we're talking as business people around a table here. So as you're thinking about this, you're kind of going, okay, well, how does all this thing going to work here? And what's my not only my monetary investment, what's going to be my investment here of going out and reaching out and getting that? For some, as you'll go back and go watch the last two uh, interviews that we did with two super ladies here, and actually three over the last couple of months here. We interviewed three powerful ladies that went out there and got clients. Their stories are powerful. So if you need a little bit of encouragement on the front end to kind of see what their potential is to just getting your first client, they're going to tell you. I'm just trying to tell you, once you got your client, this is basically what they're making. And it's taking them less than an hour and a half to do one potential client. So then you've got your 262.50 a day times 5 days a week. We know there's 52 weeks out of the year. And again, give or take a little bit here, knowing that doctors may take some time off during the holidays. Okay. But you're going to be averaging about $68,250 per year per doctor. Again, if you're looking to trying to figure out what the profitability behind this particular business is, you can see with just one doctor, you're going to get your return on investment fairly early on in the process, beating all of the other odds out there that tells you it takes you 18 months to 2 years to get your ROI back. You'll be able to get this with one doctor within the first year and be obviously what we would call in the black within the first year of being in business. Okay. But again, I shared with you already 2 or 3 ladies that we have just done recent interviews with that have more than just the one doctor, and they've got those within the first year. I'm going to let the screen say what it's going to say to you and not me. That's their potential. Now, obviously, are there things that they probably did to basically get there? Possibly so. Okay. They may have spent a little bit more money on marketing, on their networking. Uh, there is one of the ladies there that joined a BNI group that can be, 150 to $250 a month to be a part of. But would you do that knowing that you've got the backup and all the back office here at American Business Systems just to get that first client? And then obviously you don't have to stay the whole year. Once you've got your client, you can say, sorry, I'm done. I think I got what I need. That happens all the time, folks. And so this is all about counting the costs and trying to figure out what's going to be best for you. Okay. Any questions about the calculations? James, I appreciate you asking that question. You asked it in a most timely fashion there. Any other questions before we move on to the next little section there? Because I want to make sure that everybody understands about this whole thing about the return on investment. And then obviously I'm trying to find my uh, clock there. I've got my little clock going here. It blinked out on me on my iPhone there. So we've got about 20 more minutes to go, and I don't want to rush through this last part, but I wanted to take the time to kind of build up to where we are and with the actual investment and then how you get to where you want to get to. All right, it doesn't sound like there's any questions, and it doesn't look like we've lost anybody, so let's keep pressing forward here. So let's talk about, I mentioned earlier, the cost of what it takes for a doctor to actually have an employee to do their billing. Okay. Now you can say, Eric, well, if it takes a doctor's office, if I'm doing the billing and it takes me less than 2 hours, gosh, you'd almost think, why aren't doctors doing billing for other doctors? I'll tell you why. Because when they hire that biller's not just doing billing, they're doing so many other things. And it can be very costly for a doctor to have a full-time employee doing billing and then the other parts of the business there. So the way that I used to explain this, and Patrick and I used to kind of kick this around, it's almost like the doctor's trying to run two businesses. One, they're trying to run their medical office. Two, they're trying to run a medical billing company. And that's really what tries to happen that happens within that doctor's office. Because it would almost seem like a doctor would go, well, gosh, my biller's so good. I know it only takes them 2 to 3 hours to do this. I might as well do some billing for another doctor and become profitable. It doesn't happen because distractions happen within that doctor's office. There's so many dynamics that happen there. That's the big problem. Manny's asking what type of knowledge is needed to get started. Is it like bookkeeping where you have to understand the basics of accounting? Not necessarily. A lot of people assume that you have to know that. Manny, what we're going to teach you to go through our training. Our training is going to go step by step exactly what you're going to need to know to start off with your first client. And then from there, you may not even have another class with us at all. But there are going to be some things that deal with accounting. We're going to go through all the basic stuff of what you're going to need to do. Obviously, there's accounts receivables and accounts payables. Okay. And that's about as much accounting that you're ever going to know. The accounts receivable is what's coming in, and the accounts payable are what's going to go out. That's all that it really is. All right, so let's talk about real quickly. Now, these numbers are back from 2003. We're in 2005. I get that. And these numbers haven't changed that much. I did look them up and had a different slide here I wanted to show you. But they're basic. It didn't have this entire list, is what I'm trying to say. So if you're looking at this, the first one there, according to the American Association of Professional Coders, okay, that's what AAPC stands for, their billing salary report back in 2023, which would include all of 2024, basically, a certified professional biller is going to make about $57,000 a year. That's basically their top line. Now, that doesn't include that's their salary that they're getting, but that's not what the doctor's paying out. Because remember, the doctor has to pay for the taxes on that and all the other things that go along with that. So A salary may be $57,000, but the doctor's probably paying about 65 to 70,000 whenever it comes with all the bonuses and are the insurance and everything else that goes along with it. This is without insurance or any benefits to go along with it. Okay. This is strictly a salary. Then you go all the way down to the bottom, certified professional compliancy officer. Now, there is a compliancy officer and should be a compliancy officer at every doctor's office, but they are the most highly paid ones, and that's at 81,500 basically. So if you took the averages of all of those, look at that number sits at $67,000. Okay. These are people that have gone to school. They have gone to all the classes that they need to go to. I'm just going to show this here to you again. Not that one, this one right here. 68,250. That's with one doctor. It's going to take you, let's even say that this takes you 2.5 hours a day. Okay. You're making the average, again, of what most people have gone to a school, testing, and everything else. The difference is these people are employees. You are a business owner. Guess what? If you need it, you go hire these folks. That's why we're sitting here today. And that's why we're talking about on an executive level. So again, what is the time that it takes to become a biller versus becoming a medical billing company? It's going to take you anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half to complete all of those classes that I shared with you, only to be averaging about $67,000. To own a medical billing company, it's going to take you less than 30 days. And that's what I want to kind of take you with for the rest of this time. We've got about 15 minutes left. Let me share with you. Exactly what are you getting for your $30,000? Okay. So if you've got any questions about this as I go through this in the next 10 minutes or so, this is a great time to ask me. You're getting every product and every service that we have here. So it's going to start off with iClaim, EMRX, which is our electronic medical records platform, Quick Collect for those that are a little bit nervous or squirmish about accounting. There's your accounting service there right there. Audit Guard and CodeWrite have to do with coding. So you've got all of your coding done by certified professional coders. Dropping down to the lower level, you see that next one there, it says virtual care. There's not a medical billing business opportunity out there that has this included in their network of services. Virtual care means you're going to be able to offer doctors a service to allow them to remotely monitor their patients, their blood pressure, their weight, their glucometer, for diabetes, all remotely, all going up through the cell services of all the major cell towers there, and reporting all that information to the doctors, in which they get to bill for, which means that you get more claims to process. So there's money to be made on the billing side of it, and there's actually a little bit that can be made on the virtual care side of it. Compliancy Guard has to do with HIPAA compliancy. Remember, I mentioned to you earlier, every doctor's office has a compliancy officer. That's one way to get your foot in the door. Choice Pay is another accounting processing. AutoCard is a way that we can help these doctors remind their patients of mammograms that are coming up, annual services that are needed, birthdays, cards that can go out, different types of things. That's what this is all about. It's a marketing arm of us helping the doctors make sure that they keep their clients, their patients, because I'm telling you, doctors lose patients all the time because they don't treat them as a client. They treat them as a patient sometimes. The next one is their credentials now. Credentialing services. Doctors need credentialing services. The insurances all need to get that updated for them. And then for those that want to, we've had so much over the last years, so many people asking, can we do dental billing? We have Dentamax. All of these services, all of these products come together of what it takes for the investment. Akhtar, I'm going to save your question there in just a second. The other thing that you're getting from us is a professionally graded type of website. You don't have to put your website together. We've already got a website to put together for you. You just need to choose which template Give us your logo, all of your contact information. We'll get all that uploaded. You're also going to have access to a privatized website called AB Systems or ABS LSS. That stands for American Business Systems Licensee Support Site. Here, you'll have all of your documentation. So all of your contracts, your agreements that you need to have with your doctor. If you need more training, there's where you can get some more of your training. If you need to be reminded of certain training, you can get that. And then, folks, as we are leaning just a little bit towards this in this particular webinar, so I kind of close this out, everybody needs help on marketing. And so ABS, and for the great Patrick Phillips of his mind, what he did, he found out a way to promote you by a book that he and Dr. Vicki Rackner wrote on the new thriving medical practice. This is an incredible book. This will actually have your name on it on the front cover because we print those on demand after you become a business owner here at American Business Systems. And you've written the forward to the book. We have a templated forward that you can tweak if you'd like to. And then there are is where you go. You can see right there is you can put your name at the book inside the book. And so, folks, whenever you're trying to have credibility, you need to have something, especially when you're just getting started. Why not have it on the front part of a cover of a book? And that's one of the just one of the ways that we're going to show you how to end up getting that first client. All right, so we've taken the last 50 minutes and talked to you about the profitability in medical billing. Hopefully, I've been able to share that with you in such a way that it was smooth, it was very systematic, it was very educational for you. I believe it has because there's not a whole lot of questions about it, but there are some questions that have come in. So let me take some time to do that. So Akhtar is asking, my question is how to get one doctor as a client who is already working with some other billing company? That's a great question. Here's a fact right out of the box. Every doctor, whether they're working with another billing company or they have the billing in-house, all of them are doing billing. That question is answered on a couple of webinars that we've done and one that I've got coming up, which is going to be how to get your first client. And that is simply by taking them down a path of doing a discovery. So, Akhtar, if you go to a doctor's office right now, I mean, you just pulled a doctor out of the hat and you say, I'm going to go to this doctor because you've got some ailment. The doctor's going to ask you some questions. And those are discovery questions. We're going to ask very similar type of discovery questions to a doctor. And we're going to find out whether their billing company or whether it's their employee or whether it's been outsourced. We're going to find if they're really doing what the kind of job that they should be doing. It's called a practice analysis questionnaire, which is going to give us a practice analysis report. And it's going to show us and the doctor whether or not that if they're doing fine. I've told doctors, look, I don't think I can do anything better than what your builder's doing right now. But 90% of the time, they're not doing anywhere near that. So we're not trying to sell them on software. We're not even trying to sell them on anything else. We're not even trying to sell them on your services. What we're trying to sell them is their money that they're not getting. You show a doctor that they're losing anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a month. Tell me, Akhtar, how quickly is it going to take you to convince a doctor to go, look, if you can do that, let's get started. Okay. So hopefully that helped answer your question there. Abby, I'm just going to call you Abby if you don't mind. How is the AI changing the medical industry today? It is changing it for the better. I've heard nothing but great reports of what's happening with our medical billing companies that are associated with associated with American Business Systems. It is improving how we do coding. It's improving how we're collecting. It's improving. It's helping us do our jobs quicker. It cannot. Let me repeat this. It cannot replace a human being whenever it comes down to calling an insurance company and saying, why did this claim get denied? It can't change that. It won't get there. So remember, you don't get paid until the doctor gets paid. And if this just left up to AI, It's just going to process a claim. And if that claim ever never gets adjudicated properly and you can't talk to somebody and try to figure out what's going on, that claim's never going to get paid. So it's kind of input in and or what they used to call garbage in and garbage out. So it's the same thing here. It's just on an advanced scale. It doesn't take place of negotiating and working with another human being on that. And whether it's Medicare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna, anybody, they have to have people there to talk with about why a claim may not got processed. All right, Mandy's asking, what is the most for the medical billing? What is the moat? What is, okay, so let me make sure. In other words, can't this service be outsourced to a country with cheaper labor? Manny, it can be outsourced to do it at cheaper labor. But I'm going to tell you, again, when you're dealing with doctors and you're dealing with doctors' money, the last thing that doctors want to have to deal with is calling a different country to ask them about their money. That's why this is a relationship, kneecap to kneecap. That's why a lot of our business owners still have their same doctors. Why? It's because they've become trusted. Why are they, listen, in the beginning part of understanding this, many times we think the only way I'm going to be able to beat another medical billing company is to charge less. And that's not the case, folks. I would ask you to start higher and then maybe work your way down to where you really want to be. Because I am not for sale for cheap. Okay. If doctor wants cheap, let them go with cheap. My first client started off like that. Matter of fact, there was between my company and another company. He went with the other company at first, and within 6 weeks, fired them, hired me. I was back at the rate that I wanted to be. Okay. It's kind of like the old saying, you get what you pay for. Okay. Raj, in what ways can ABS help in scaling my business? Better yet, to be an executive right off with my first client. Great. Man, Raj, I love your question. You're getting it. I appreciate that. Can I look forward to your help in servicing my first client? Yes, you can. Uh, Matter of fact, there's a lot of people out here who just say, look, I'm really good at going out there and getting the business. I just may not want to sit down and do the billing. We actually have ABS business owners that outsource their own billing services to some of our other business owners here at American Business Systems. So if you need that kind of help, Raj, we're here to help you. Uh, it's just a cost of doing business. It's what it is at the end of the day. Akhtar said, thank you for answering your question the way I did. You're so welcome. Also have a question. Raj is asking another question. Also have another question that might may be required to be discussed in private. Um, what are my options to reach out and who can help me with that? Raj, do you know, you can just answer yes or no. Do you know who your sales rep is that you have here? You can type that in, yes or no. If not, I will make sure that we kind of get that message over to somebody. You think so? Okay. So if you know who it might be, just reach out to them. However, you got the email to be invited to the webinar today, that's probably the person you need to chat with, and they'll help you. Anyway, if not, I'll give you a couple of ways to get in touch with us.